You won't believe what Kody has in store now. Just when people were convinced the Mercedes scandal was crazy enough, rumors of a luxury RV, reportedly for him and Robyn, have Christine and Janelle set to seek legal recourse, secrets, receipts, and a so-called freedom fleet. It's all coming to a head. And Robyn's silence is deafening. Watch now. This one's a game changer. You're still young, so let me just go ahead and impart some life wisdom. A bit of that project yourself 5 years in the future speech, because occasionally it's not what you do today, but what it means about you tomorrow. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but this one? It could be worth $100,000. The fan base for Sister Wives was left reeling when a picture emerged on the internet of Kody Brown climbing behind the wheel of a shiny new, gleaming Mercedes-Benz SUV. Not simply clean, this vehicle looked as if it had just come off a showroom floor. Glossy finish, sparkling wheels, pristine leather interior. Even the dealer tag was still hanging off the rear. But it was more than the car. It was Kody's face, sunglasses wearing, smiling from ear to ear. The type of smile that says, "Yeah, I know you're watching." And let me tell you, viewers weren't the only ones surprised. According to insiders, the women in Kody's life found out the same way the rest of us did, from that photo. No heads up, no text, just a glossy reminder of who he's become. And if that weren't enough, here's the kicker. Reportedly within 30 minutes of buying the car, Kody sent a message to Christine and Janelle. The words, "No liquid funds right now." Let that sink in. 30 minutes after purchasing a six-figure car, he's saying he's broke. Now remember, Christine and Janelle aren't pursuing luxury here. They've been requesting assistance, paying for real-life things. Mortgage payments, school fees, groceries, day-to-day life. So when Kody showed off his new vehicle like some sort of midlife trophy, the silence didn't last long. Christine didn't scream. She didn't post a call out online. She didn't even answer the chat. Instead, she got busy. According to sources close to her, she zoomed in on that photo, jotted down the license plate, and did a little digging. What she found might just be the final straw. More on that in a minute. This story's just heating up. That Mercedes wasn't a hand-me-down. That wasn't something leased out last year. That luxury SUV was newly purchased, with Kody Brown's name prominently displayed on the documents. And that was it. That was when Christine stopped giving him the benefit of the doubt. Now Christine's never been about public spectacle. Not without a good reason, anyway. But sources tell us she's been documenting everything since the split. Not to keep the pot stirred, but in order to protect herself. Because after almost 3 decades of hearing, there's just not enough to go around, you begin to notice patterns. And this pattern, it struck a chord. Christine, all the happier in her new existence, set to work writing something, a letter. Not a fiery diatribe, but an open letter intended to record the true tale. Word is, she's got it all spelled out. Financial discrepancies, text message screenshots, money transactions that wouldn't add up, support requests dismissed. And though she hasn't yet pressed send, sources indicate that document is authentic, and it's compelling. Especially when you consider what sparked a blaze. Kody not contributing to daughter Isabel's healthcare costs, while raking in luxury gadgets, designer footwear, and now a Mercedes. But Christine wasn't alone piecing things together. Janelle, ever the practical one, did some financial sleuthing of her own. Based on a source close to the family, she still had control of one of their former PayPal accounts, something the Browns utilized for collective expenses when things were unified. And just a few days before Kody purchased that luxury SUV, she reportedly noticed something unusual. Multiple withdrawals, all of them just under $9,000, titled vaguely, contractor, travel, consulting, illegal, possibly. Suspicious? Definitely. And when totaled up, those figures, they came awfully close to what that Mercedes down payment could have resembled. And here's where things really go wrong. From disappointing to possibly dishonest. Some of those transactions were from joint accounts. Money Kody had insisted before was locked, frozen, not moving. But for some reason, it wasn't. When Janelle realized the timing, she didn't just sit on it. She waited till after nightfall and made the call herself. No messages, no small talk. Just a late-night call that, by all reports, was frosty from the beginning. and by the time she'd finally hung up, she knew. Kody hadn't cut back on spending. He'd merely cut back on spending on them. In that moment, it was no longer about money. Janelle sat silently afterwards, the dawning realization sweeping over her. This wasn't a budget problem, it wasn't a squeezed month. It was a running trend of being purposefully left behind, financially and emotionally. And that Mercedes, that wasn't merely a car, it was the last straw. That evening, Janelle didn't rant. She didn't rage, she just went for her old binder. The one she used when the kids were small, and budget time was a monthly routine. In the stacks of color-coded tabs and disappearing ink, was a note from 2 years prior. A chat she jotted down when Kody informed her he couldn't contribute to Savannah's college tuition. Not then, not with the family tightly moneyed. 2 years of compromises, subdued no's, postponed aspiration, and now, a luxury SUV in the driveway. But it was no longer just about the vehicle. Kody had reportedly been juggling funds behind the scenes, calling withdrawals for obscure production expenses, while claiming he could not afford to offer fundamental support. It did not feel so much like budgeting, but more like betrayal. At the same time, Meri was having flashbacks of her own. While she hasn't been as outspoken as Janelle or Christine, Meri still has a monetary stake in Kody, particularly when it comes to the property investments and her bed and breakfast back home in Utah. So when she read those headlines about the Mercedes, she didn't lose her cool. She quieted down, listened, and began to look back. Take the following example. In December of 2022, Meri reports that Kody would not co-sign a maintenance loan for her bed and breakfast. He said all available money was invested in Coyote Pass. But that same month, he reportedly approved an $8,000 home entertainment system for Robyn's rental property. The bill? It was leaked, under the radar. And Meri, as expected, didn't cause a scene. But whatever prompted this new development tipped her over. So far, it's known only to someone very close to the family. Meri called a trusted financial advisor, not to sue, but to begin constructing a narrative. Because if Kody had actually been spending communal funds to upgrade his lifestyle and claim poverty, that's not only shady, that could have actual legal ramifications, and especially with multiple homes still in all their names. And here's where things get even more complicated. While Meri quietly got her paperwork in order, Robyn's name suddenly appeared in an unexpected place. County financial documents. By a lead from one of the Flagstaff set, a home equity line of credit was placed against Robyn's Arizona home, just 24 hours prior to when that Mercedes was seen. The figure? About $200,000, presumably for remodeling and utility upgrades. But with one catch, there's been zero evidence of work. No contractors, no permits, no work done on the property. Where did the funds go? Insiders indicate that Robyn might have channeled some of that money into a shared account, one that she and Kody continue to utilize for what they term family emergencies. But to Christine and Janelle, what qualifies as an emergency appears light years away from Robyn's. While the rest of them were making their dollars stretch for school tuition and winter heating, Robyn was allegedly seen browsing upscale boutiques just days after that HELOC went on the books. One insider even swears they heard Robyn at a car detailing business near Sedona, talking casually about luxury leather interiors, just hours before Kody's sleek new Mercedes was being delivered. Now let's be clear. There's no official paper trail connecting Robyn's name specifically to the purchase. No invoice, no title transfer in her name. But from one insider close to the situation, that's precisely how Robyn works. She doesn't swipe the card, they said, she sets the chessboard. And what's most chilling to the ex-wives? This all seems way too familiar. When the Brown family was still officially intact, there had already been friction over Robyn's spending. Viewers will recall the nanny drama saga, the expensive doll collection that read like an auction house catalog rather than a pastime. Her financial imprint always felt greater, more boisterous, better shielded. But this, if Robyn's name is indeed attached to a secret home equity line used to bankroll a six-figure SUV, while Kody was sworn to Janelle and Christine that he had no liquid funds, this is not a matter of poor taste, this stinks of betrayal. And it hit Janelle especially hard. Remember? She once reportedly asked Robyn for a little help covering tutoring expenses for one of the kids. Robyn's response: a soft, "I'll have to check with Kody." Now her name is supposedly signed on a lien that's causing eyebrows to raise in multiple counties. If even part of that HELOC went into the Mercedes, Robyn might be getting some very serious scrutiny, not only from fans but from attorneys. It's not only questionable, it's possibly illegal. And Christine, rumor has it, she's done playing nice. The moment rumors of the HELOC broke, the internet blew up. But the moment Robyn's name got involved, all hell broke loose. It began on Reddit. Then TikTok detectives entered the scene, splicing together Kody's earlier confessional videos, where he said money was tight, and matching them with dealership images and breakdowns of luxury car prices. Former clips of Robyn whispering sweetly, "We don't live fancy," were now rolling over footage of a $110,000 Mercedes. The contrast was harsh, but this was more than a social media mania. It hit a chord in life, particularly for viewers who had seen Janelle and Christine grind, save, and rebuild. Fans recalled Janelle pawning her jewelry to keep her home afloat. They recalled Christine living frugally in a small rental when Kody wouldn't assist her with a down payment. And now that same individual was supposedly texting them that he couldn't help with bills minutes after leaving in a vehicle worth more than many rural Utah homes. The optics weren't merely bad. They were explosive. Even old-time Kody apologists had trouble defending this one. One former producer of the show was said to have been overheard on a podcast declaring, "There's no version of this that doesn't make him look selfish. It's like he forgot the cameras weren't rolling it." And in so many ways, that's what this entire saga had devolved to. Larger than the show itself. It was about women coming to in decades of manipulation, discovering their value, refusing to be gaslit financially. And the silence of the show, it just amplified the noise. Fans swarmed comment section. They pleaded for answers, but there was no official word. No statement from Kody, no Instagram live by Robyn, just one enigmatic Bible verse Kody supposedly posted, "The truth will set you free." Not quite comforting, particularly since Christine's squad, insiders say, was getting ready to launch a limited series podcast chronicling her life after divorce. And yes, it's reportedly going to feature never-before-seen financial information. While all this is going on, Janelle is not merely upset. She's allegedly hiring a prominent family lawyer to go through the past decade of their communal property management. She no longer wants to ask questions. She's searching for answers. Sources close to Janelle confirm that she's been meticulous, and she's finished being nice. Because this entire Mercedes scandal, it wasn't merely a gaudy midlife crisis on wheels. It was a message, a huge shiny neon sign, that blasted precisely how much Kody cares about his comfort, while the women who assisted him in creating everything were forced to pinch pennies, split grocery bills, and roll over what remained of their dreams. And those worn-out excuses Kody had consistently relied on, they were disintegrating quicker than ever before. In what some call a last-ditch PR stunt, Kody apparently jumped onto a specialist podcast and attempted to justify the Mercedes as a production vehicle. That's right, he said the automobile was required for filming. Apparently TLC needed something safe and reliable to transport gear and crew. But no one was buying it, and neither were his former wives. In days, leaked registration documents began circulating on the internet. They revealed exactly what many had guessed. The vehicle was bought for cash, titled solely in Kody's name, and registered at a Flagstaff address. No TLC, no business lease, no production write-off. Merely a personal luxury buy, by the man who'd been whining about money to his former wives and the public. Even one dealership employee came forward anonymous to dish out some more tea. Kody reportedly arrived by himself. No entourage, no producers, no paperwork for filming, just him and a smile. The employee reported Kody joked about looking like a boss, and even attempted to negotiate a discount by name-dropping sister wives. One employee reported he asked if they'd like a signed photo for the wall. He wanted the influencer treatment, the staffer said. But come bedtime, Kody still paid full retail. And that only fed the fire. Because if Kody did spend six figures on a new toy whip while informing the mothers of his children he couldn't afford minimum support, that's not tone deaf. That's precisely what Christine is now accusing him of, emotional abandonment, backed by a debit card. They're calling it what it is, a classic case of image over integrity. Because let's be real, a Mercedes like that, it's not just a car, it's a declaration. It says, "I've made it." even if the individuals who assisted you in getting there are still living paycheck to paycheck. And then there's Robyn. Sources indicate she's remained eerily quiet. No tweets, no videos, no public denial. And that silence, it's screaming loudly to the women who know her best, especially Janelle. Sources close to Janelle report she's been quietly chronicling every penny she feels she's owed, every reimbursement she was never reimbursed, every business expense that somehow always ended up padding Robyn's household more than anyone else's. Some report that Janelle is compiling a complete timeline of finances, complete with receipts, maintenance records, and budget notes dating back years. And sources indicate she's going to make it official. This isn't revenge. It's fair. Because after decades of sacrifice and loyalty, Janelle is now saying no more leftovers. I helped create the meal, and I want my portion. And just when it couldn't get any more dramatic, it did. Because when lawyers get involved, everything shifts. As of sources familiar with both Christine and Janelle, those hushed meetings they began months ago, they're now becoming official appointments. Lines were being drawn, papers were being drawn up, and the Browns, they'd never be the same. What began as shock and dismay was rapidly becoming something much more severe. Christine and Janelle were done simply discussing, now they were acting. According to sources, Christine's lawyers have started to sift through the original contracts related to Coyote Pass, that long-ago strip of Arizona property the entire family envisioned building. But now that vision more closely resembles a nightmare of broken promises. And Christine's lawyers are wondering if Kody actually channeled joint funds into private purchase beyond anyone's knowledge or approval. Does that provide the basis for reopening the whole financial? Turns out, perhaps yes. Even Janelle, always the live and let live type, is allegedly asking for complete itemized statements on every joint family account, particularly those emergency funds they'd all contributed toward over the years. And that's where things become particularly murky. Some of those accounts, they were never actually shut down, just went dormant. No notice, no official withdrawals, just quiet, slow draining. 5,000 here, 7,000 there. Always with a different reason: production expenses, travel, attorney fees, until suddenly they were drained. A nest egg reduced to a ghost account. The instant Christine and Janelle knew that something clicked. If even $1 of that Mercedes money was taken out of joint funds, this wasn't just bad judgment. It might be actionable in court. Meanwhile, Robyn, once again, has stayed silent. No comment, no clarification, just quiet. But fans and financial bloggers alike are starting to raise their eyebrows. Multiple online sleuths claim Robyn's home was reappraised for refinance right around the time she filed that HELOC. And the numbers? They don't seem to match what you'd expect for simple utility upgrades. Actually, one popular, though still unsubstantiated, claims the appraisal might have been carefully timed to artificially inflate the price of the house, increasing the amount of cash she could draw. It's a quiet, manipulative thing, but to the women who've been pushed aside for decades, it's beginning to look like an old playbook. Pump, borrow, gain, and leave everybody else in the dark. While Janelle and Christine consider their legal recourse, Kody's reaction has apparently been sheer panic. According to one source, he attempted to call in a favor from a mutual acquaintance to iron out but the moment she asked him about the car, he shut up, got defensive, said it was an investment and no one's business. The friend wasn't buying it. She supposedly informed Christine that Kody sounded like a teenager who maxed out his parents' credit card. That's when Christine, to those around her, uttered the 6 words that are now ringing out throughout fan sites and social. Then he can explain it to court. And that one line, it struck different. For because although the term court might have run shivers down Kody's spine, to most fans and perhaps to his former wives, it had a very different accountability. And if Christine and Janelle actually pursue that legal route, it won't be only about a car. It'll be about the pattern, the unpaid bills, the discriminatory spending, the changing accounts, the spiritual smokes. It'll be about all the women who gave everything and are finally demanding what they're owed. The cameras stopped rolling, but the actual drama, it's playing out in lawyers' office, on spreadsheets and in the back rooms of text, where receipts don't lie, and emotions run deep. From a close source, Christine has already sat down with her legal team twice. They're reading over old emails and old family group texts, the kind Kody likely hoped nobody would go back on.
These weren't family discussions about where to hit the lake for the weekend. No, these messages were dated, written smack in the middle of the asset division, following the divorce. Some even had emotional pleas like, let's keep this amicable for. But Christine's attorneys, they're searching for something different, inconsistency, and they're discovering them. Particularly times when Kody said he was poor to common costs, yet had no problem spending thousands on high-end. As one source explained, he always asked for grace, but never gave transparency. Janelle is not sitting back but quietly compiling her own evidence. She's gathering screenshots, digging up old Venmo records, replaying group chats, where she'd asked for assists with something like car insurance or an emergency trip to the dentist, and never even gotten a response. She's not suing to court, at least not yet, but she's preparing. Because the buzz around Flagstaff is that Kody may already be refiguring script. Sources indicate that he's been testing the waters about a podcast or a brief documentary to tell his side of the money mess. But if Christine or Janelle drop even half of what they've supposedly gathered, that tale might implode before it even hit. And get this, Kody reportedly reached out to TLC about launching some kind of redemption arc, a spin-off focused on rebuilding trust with his family. But the network's answer, according to a source, it was polite, but firm, not while the audience is the. And just when it looked like the Mercedes, another bombshell. Sources confirmed that it wasn't a one-time and nope, apparently that car, that was just step one, in what Kody's supposedly declaring, yes, freedom flew. The next toy on his, a luxury RV. Not a camper, not a family. We're talking top of the line, custom interior, smart tech, and a rumored price tag around $250,000. And it's not for filming, not for the kids, not even for family vacations. It's just for him and Robyn to hit the road, travel light, and live large. As one of Kody's insiders described it, his so-called free is more about symbolism and travel. From someone in his broad orbit comes the word that he's selling this entire concept touring the American West as royalty, without the benefit of the very women he's purportedly left behind to mop up the mess. And if that all seems too outlandish, well, let's not forget, this is the individual who once instructed the entire family to reside in order to save money, while he to property he did not build on. The same person who insists he didn't have any, then went into a luxury car deal several days. Fans aren't shocked, but they're deep. And Christine and, from what we're hearing, they've already caught wind of the RV, and they're not amused. In fact, a family source says Janelle's attorney is drafting a formal into whether Kody misrepresented assets, just in case this shiny new RV appears before all their settlements are finalized. Because for them, it's not all about the money, it's the message. For decades of devotion, raising, putting their own needs aside, what do they get left with? Kody's answer isn't reconciliation. It's not apology, it's leather seat, shiny, and the highway. The public has already begun calling it a midlife crisis, but for Janelle and there's more. It's confirmed that they made the right decision, that the man who once put harmony now appears more obsessed with horsepower than. And if this RV drives it, that might be the last straw. What has been a low-key could become a full-fledged courtroom battle. So we're now asking you, do you believe Kody is high and extravagant to avoid taking, or is he simply spiraling now that control has slipped? And more importantly, if Christy Janelle
Should TLC allow them to finally get their story out there without editing? If you believe it's time the truth got out, tap like, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And hang in there, the next video on your screen is on the way. And trust me, you won't regret it.